Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another video of FikarNot.com, now FikarNot from Studies. So today we are going to be studying a really very interesting chapter, the one and only Night Mail. I think you all must have heard about this chapter or this poem in general because it's a pretty long poem first, and it's a really very famous poem as well. It is written by the one and only W.H. Auden. So when I talk or when I say the word night mail, what is the first thing that comes in your mind? I think it's one thing, right? That it's a train, I guess, as we can see a train picture, and it carries mail at night. So some transportation, which I'm guessing train, carries mail at night, right? Because it's the night mail. Or it can be a guy who works at night. I think similar to the Wild Little Thing, right? Where the father had night shifts. But it's MAIL, which is a letter, not a mail, as in a man. So I'm guessing it may be a transportation or a postman that carries a mail. So all these thoughts may come in your mind, right? So let's turn this expectation or estimation into reality, and let's actually see what the night mail stands for and what it means. This is the night mail, crossing the border, bringing the check and the postal order. Letters for the rich, letters for the poor, the shop at the corner, the girl next door. Pulling up to be talk, a steady climb. The gradients against her, but she's on time. So this was our first paragraph. So over here we're talking about the night mail is crossing the border. What is the night mail doing? It is crossing the border. It is bringing the checks and it's bringing the postal order. So over here you can see the rhyming scheme, right? Border order, and poor do. So AABB. Fine. So the night mail is, we were right, it is a transportation that is crossing the border, bringing the check and the postal order. So this basically shows the function of the night mail. What is the night mail doing? It's crossing the border. It's way, the way that is traveling through. It's traveling through the borders. It is bringing the checks and also probably some king's orders. The letters are for the rich, the letters are for the poor. This means that the train does not discriminate. It brings letters for all, for the rich and for the poor. And also the shop at the corner, the girl next door. So the letters are for the rich, the letters are for the poor, the letters are also for the shop. Maybe some rent letters or letters for, hey, it's your anniversary. Or also the girl next door, like, a household girl who may have a letter from her family, right? Pulling up to Betox, a steady climb. So Betox is a place in the Scottish border. Furthermore, it's basically a hill, right? So it's a hill, and pulling up to the hill, a steady climb, as in it steadily climbs because it's a hill. The gradients against her, because it's a slope, right? So it's trying really very hard to go up, and the slope is defeating her by going against her. But how many ever difficulties she goes through, she's always on time. This shows the motivation and the punctuality that the train shows. So the function of the night mail is described over here, and who crosses the border to bring the checks and orders. The train brings letters from the rich and from the poor, and checks or bills or for a shop, and also a girl next door. The night mail steadily climbs the hill of the Betox and then the slopes of that are against her, of course, but she is always on time. So again, this shows her punctuality. This shows the punctuality of the train, and also its determination and its commitment to go and transport those letters, whoever those letters belong to, the rich or to the poor. Past cotton grass and moorland borders, shoveling white steam over her shoulders, snorting noisily as she passes, silent miles of bent grasses. Birds turn their heads as she approaches, stare from bushes at her blank-faced coaches. Sheepdogs cannot turn her course, they slumber on with paws across. In the farm she passes, no one wakes, but a jug in a bedroom gently shakes. Okay, so in this paragraph we are talking about how the train, again its journey, right? It goes through the cotton grasses. It's just the kind of grass, okay? And it also goes through the moorland boulder, okay? It shovels the white steam over her shoulder. The shoveling of the white steam says that you all know, right? Coal, one benefit of a coal is that it was used as steam in olden days and sometimes now as well. So, due to the coal, the steam that comes, which also causes global warming, and that is the steam that the poet is talking about. So it goes through the cotton grasses, it goes and the moorland boulder, of course. And so moorland boulder is that is called as a rocky land. Moorland boulder is called as a rocky land. So again, this shows the determination, the commitment of the night meal. It goes to the grasses. It also goes through, very, very rocky lands. And she shovels the white steam over her shoulder. Shoulder over here is also personified, right? It's a personification over here because the train is it's like an animal. They're showing it like an animal, right? It's shoveling white steam over her shoulder, right? And it keeps going in its direction, fully determined, without stopping, of course, right? She snorts noisily as she passes, and as in she makes noise, but she silently goes through the wind-bent grasses. The birds, when she passes them, right, they turn their head as she approaches, but they just stare from the bushes at her blank-faced coaches. The sheepdogs cannot turn her course. They slumber on with paws across. So over here, the sheepdogs and the birds, they are very well aware of the train. They know that the train, it will pass through, but we cannot change its course. So the birds just stare at the train from the bushes, and the sheepdogs, they know that the train is not any threat to them, of course, right? And the sheepdogs cannot also turn her course because they know that the train is really very determined. So now that they're so familiar with the train that it's not going to turn her course, they just slumber, as in they deeply sleep on with their paws across. In the farm she passes, no one wakes, but a jug in a bedroom gently shakes. So, she goes to the farm, no one will wake, but a jug will gently shake. So the train may affect a little jug in a bedroom, but will not affect human sleep. We will just keep sleeping and snoring and in our dreams while sleeping, but maybe a jug in a bedroom will gently shake. So, all in all, the train keeps moving towards the destination and it passes through the cotton fields and rocky lands and also passes white steam produced by trains. She makes a loud noise of snorting and passes silently through the wind-bent grasses. All of these lines show her motivation, or you can say her dedication. The poet also describes how birds react when they see her. When they see who? Her. The train in the whole poem is mentioned as her. So it is also personified and it is also an imagery. So the birds, they just stare at her and even the birds have learnt about her presence. So they just stare at her from the bushes. The train also influences the sheepdogs, of course, because the dogs have learned that they cannot change her course, so they just sleep deeply with their paws across. The train may shake a jug in a bedroom, as I said before, but it does not affect human sleep because it is quite silent. Now let's move on to the next paragraph. Dawn freshens, her climb is done. Down towards Glasgow she descends, towards the steam tugs yelping down a glade of cranes. Towards the field of apparatus, the furnaces set on the dark plain like a gigantic chessman. All Scotland waits for her. In a dark lens, beside pale green loaches. Men long for news. So over here, she after all the journey she goes through, the cotton grass, the rocky fields, everything is done now, and dawn comes, as in sunrise. It's sunrise now, and her climb is done towards the slopes that were against her. She descends towards Glasgow, towards the steam tugs yelping down. Now, what do you mean by tugs yelping? You mean tugs is basically towing boats at the sound of their horns. Okay, and a glade of cranes is basically the row of cranes along the Glasgow harbour that look like trees in the woods. So she, towards the steam, what does she do? She makes sounds of like horns, because when she's going down, she basically makes really very loud sounds of yelping down the what? Down the Glasgow harbour that look like trees. Towards the fields of apparatus, the furnaces, set on the dark plain like a gigantic chessman. All Scotland waits for her. So she goes towards the fields of apparatus, because Glasgow over here is described as an industrial city that has gone through industrialization. Because you all know what industrialization is, right? So Glasgow has gone through industrialization. That's why we're saying it as the field of apparatus, the furnaces, and set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen. All Scotland waits for her, as in every single one in Scotland waits for her. Why? Because all of them are waiting for their meal. In dark glens, as in narrow valleys with streams. So all the Scotland waits for her, be it in like a narrow valley near lakes or anywhere else. Men long for her news. When will the train come? I want my mail. Just like that. So the train's journey and the climb is complete, and she is headed towards Glasgow, a large city in the central Scotland, which is gone through industrialization, and it is an industrial city. She is making a loud noise while coming towards the glade because she's yelping, right? And while coming towards the glade of cranes, meaning, some Glasgow harbours that look like woods. It passes towards the fields of apparatus, the furnaces, and all the Scotland waits for her to receive their mails. Even in the narrow streams beside lakes, men long for their mails, or men look for their news. Perfect. So this was our first page. Now let's go on to the second page. Letters of thanks, letters from banks, letters of joy from girl and boy, receipted bills and invitations to inspect new stock or to visit relations, and applications for situations and timid lovers' declarations, and gossip from all the nation, news circumstantial, news financial, letters with holiday snaps to enlarge in, letters with faces scrawled on the margin, letters from uncles, cousins and aunts, letters to Scotland from the south of France, letters of condolence to highlands and lowlands, notes from overseas to hybrids, written on the paper of every hue, the pink, the violet, the white and the blue, the chatty catty, the boring, the adoring, the cold and the official, the heart's outpouring, the clever, the stupid, the short and the long, the typed and the printed and spelt all wrong. Okay, whew, this was a really very long paragraph. So over here we talk about how the letters that she, right? It is she because the poet is calling the train a she throughout the poem. So the letters that she carries can differ from gossip to bills and invitations to condolences as well. The night mail carries it all. The mail brings, letters from overseas to hybrids. The letters come in all colors, pink, violet, and blue as well. So these letters are of thanks. Letters are from banks. So, one of these questions can come: what are the different types of letters that the mail carries? So just keep this in your mind, all the letters that the mail or the night mail carries, right? The train carries. So it's of thanks, letters from banks, letters of joy from girl or boy. It's bills, invitations. Okay, so thanks, banks, joys, bills, invitations, then new stock to visit relations, and applications for situations. So situations basically over here means jobs, because if you have given an application for your job, what will happen? Are you promoted, or are you not in, basically, if they accepted your, did they not accept you, right? The timid lovers declarations, as in love letters for the lovers out there. And gossip from all the nation. It can be, some secret information of news channels of gossip that they're going to put out on their news channel. So again, thanks, banks, joys, invitations, gossip, timid lovers, job applications, and new stock to visit relations. Then new circumstantial, news financial, letters with holiday snaps to enlarging, letters with faces scrawled on the margin, letters from uncles, cousins, and aunts. So over here, these were all the letters that are there, and after that we're going to see where the letters are from. So done. Now, as we always do it, we're going to do it once again. I'm going to rub all of this in, and now we are going to see and basically just learn and see. Let's see how much ever we remember on how many letters there are. Hello, welcome back. Now in front of you is a blank screen. So promise me you won't look at my screen, or neither will you look into your textbook, and say it with me. Letters from letters of thanks, letters from banks, letters of joy, letters of applications for jobs. Four, right? Okay, letters of condolences, letters of timid lovers, letters of gossip, letters for news, from like news, circumstantial, and news of financial. Then letters with holiday snaps, letters with faces scrawled. No, sorry, scrawled. And I think, yeah. Oh, also, wait. We always forget this one, right? Receipted bills and invitations, and to inspect new stock or to visit relations. Come on, let's see if we're right. And yes, yeah, I enlarged it because I had minimized it because I wasn't able to rub it for some reason. So I just enlarged it, and yes, we are right. We covered everything. Moving on, letters from uncles, cousins, and aunts, letters to Scotland from the south of France, letters of condolences to highlands and lowlands, notes from overseas to hybrids, written on paper of every hue. So letters can differ from uncles or cousins or aunts. They can be letters of condolences to highlands and lowlands. Now, why highlands and lowlands? Because they're different parts of Scotland, and they're more or less hilly as well. So condolences will be, the expression of sympathy to someone who has lost someone important in their life, of course. So notes also from overseas of hybrids. So hybrids are basically like small island that they can only, if they don't have like network or etc., they will have letters or mails sent. Then written on paper of every hue. So now these are the types of letters, or or the way letters are written. So letters are written in the pink, the violet, the white, and the blue. The chatty, the catty, the boring, and the adoring. Catty is the mischievous, with the intention of making trouble. So the chatty, the catty, the boring, the adoring, the cold and official, and the house outpouring. Outpouring as in if someone's mom is out of city, and or dad is out of city, or sister is out of city, and your sister or your daughter or your son, they're sending you letters. Your heart will just outpour of like love, that, oh, that person is so cute. They're sending me mails and they're sending me letters, telling that they miss me and they love me, just like that, right? Clever, stupid, short and long, the typed and the printed and the spelt all wrong. So if small children are writing the letters, they can just mess the letter up with giving you can say weird spellings. That's what I did when I was small. When I used to send letters to my parents whenever they were out of city or whenever it was their birthday, actually, I would write it in extremely long spelling, and in the end I would write sorry for the wrong spelling, and then in that also there would be a wrong spelling because I would write spelling like this would be my go-to spelling handwriting, which I don't even know why. So yeah, it would differ. So the typed and the printed and the spelt all wrong. The clever and the stupid and the short and the long. Okay, so over here, as you can see, DD is the rhyming scheme. Next paragraph. Thousands are still asleep, dreaming of terrifying monsters. Of friendly tea beside the band in Cranston's of Crawford's, asleep in working Glasgow, asleep in well set Edinburgh, asleep in granite Aberdeen, they continue their dreams, but shall wake soon and hope for letters. But none will hear the postman's knock without a quickening of the heart, for who can bear to feel himself forgotten? So in this last and final paragraph, we see that the poet speaks simply yet significantly. Okay, the people that are still asleep, dreaming about monsters. The Scottish cities that the train was traveling through is once again mentioned. They continue to sleep while the train continues its hard work of basically, giving out letters, of course. All the letters mentioned in the previous stanza, the letters of thanks, letters from banks, all of those letters will be received by the people now. All the people who hear the postman's knock will feel really very exciting, and they will feel anticipation, and no one at all will want themselves to be forgotten, right? So that is how the poem ends. So with this we come to an end of the poem. I hope you all understood this poem. Moving on to the rhyming scheme of this poem. The poetic devices I've mentioned throughout the whole poem. If you have any more, go ahead and add them, and also write it in the comment section if you want to. Now let me just tell you the poetic devices. So the poetic devices are A B B C D E E F F G G H I J J K L M O P Q R S. Sorry. KLMNOPQRS, STUUVVVWX, XYYZ. Then again, since Z already was there, so I started with A again, but that doesn't mean the starting letter A is matching to this one. Okay, so A B B C C D D E F G H I J KJL. So this is your rhyming scheme. I hope that's perfect and great. Now let me tell you a little about the poet, because I told you last time as well that any of these in MCQ questions, right? Anything about the poet can be asked. So the poet of this poem is Winston Hugh Odin, or Aiden, however you pronounce his name. I call him Aiden. So Winston Hugh Aiden, 1907 to 1973, was an English poet. His poetry covers many genres from love to politics, culture and religion. He won the Pulitzer Prize in Poetry for his 1947 long poem, The Age of Anxiety. The poem was written for a 1936 documentary film about a postal special train from a Euston Station, London to Aberdeen, Scotland. The film Night Mail is widely considered a masterpiece of the British documentary film movement. The poem describes the journey of the mail train through the night. The poet touches on the importance of the journey by talking the how the people are dreaming about the mail, and that they will arrive, and that they will receive in the morning on the night mail. Perfect. Now, talking about the theme of the poem basically talks about how letters are really important in one's life, right? In this poem specifically, we talk about how the letters of anyone, be it letters of thanks, letters from banks, letters of joy from a girl or a boy, all these letters are. It really matters, and basically, it also shows the determination and how determined, or the motivation of the train, how determined it is to go through for its destination. The slopes that are against her cannot beat her and cannot change her course, and neither can the sheep, dogs, or the birds. The train as a whole is really very determined and always reaches on time, which also shows its punctuality. Perfect. So with this, we finally come to an end of this poem. I hope you all understood. If you have any doubts, as usual, put it in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to solve them. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and like. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.